Director Rika Zatabchi, and producers Melissa Burton and Claire Sliney. First of all, congratulations on the Oscar. That is wonderful. And today is International Women's Day. And even now, in 2019, periods are still stigmatized around the world, which is unbelievable to me. Rika, as the director, you traveled to rural India and spoke face-to-face with women about menstruation. And what did you learn?
We learned that a lot of women don't have access to sanitary hygiene products. We learned that in the villages, there may be one store far away that sells a couple packs of pads, but usually it's being sold by male shopkeepers, and the women don't feel comfortable and are embarrassed to purchase it from the shopkeepers. Yeah. It's treated like contraband. I mean, if we even bought a pad from a male shopkeeper once, and he put it in a box, an incense box, and then wrapped it in a black plastic bag. And there's all these steps taken to ensure that, you know, no one knows what this thing is. And then in addition to that, the women are using cloth or really anything that they can find, because that's really kind of what's culturally accepted, and because no one's talking. No one's actually talking to them about the steps that they need to take.
What kind of impact does it have on their lives?
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of health-related problems that arise when you're using cloth or reusing cloth especially. And then in addition to that, I think the fear and the shame of menstruating and not knowing what's happening to your body every single month, thinking that you have an illness or that there's something inherently wrong with you, I think that really holds women back in other aspects of their lives.
Yeah. Melissa, the film came out as a project. You were teaching at Oakwood High School in California?
That is true.
And tell us about that, and why was this particular thing important to you?
Well, around 7 years ago, 2 students approached me and said, would you be the faculty sponsor for an organization called Girls Learn International? Girls Learn International is a nationwide organization that seeks to give high school students a voice in the global movement for equal access to education for all genders. So, as part of that initiative, they send 16-year-old students to the United Nations. In fact, they'll be here starting Monday the 11th at the Commission on the Status of Women at the United Nations. And they're on the floors of ECOSOC. They've got their head badges on. They're in the rooms advocating for the rights of the girl. And it's important that a girl be in the room. And it was in one of these commissions that we learned about girls dropping out once they begin to menstruate. And we learned at the same time about Murugan Anthem, who had, at that time, just created this machine. And so the students and I thought immediately, we need to raise awareness about this. We're going to get a machine. We're going to get the supplies. We're going to work with our partner Action India in India, who we knew had been wanting the machine, and make a film about it.
You know, I watched this last night, and I got to tell you, I have a sister from India who was adopted, and so it was close to my heart. But just how much we take for granted in this country. I will never walk in a pharmacy and buy feminine care again without thinking about how lucky we are. And you guys put a spotlight on that, so
true, and there's still stigma here. People don't, in movies here, usually when someone goes to buy tampons or pads, it's the father who's embarrassed, or it's the boyfriend. You know, I mean, I think we still have a lot of stigma here.
It's also the girl who's embarrassed in this country. I remember when I went to the drugstore in my neighborhood, and I said, can I have a Kotex? And the guy, the pharmacist said to me, how profuse is your flow? And I went, what? I thought I was going to die right there on the ground.
I would have thought so too.
Yes. Imagine having that question from a grown man.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable. Claire, you're only 20 years old. You are at UPenn, my alma mater.
Yes.
But already an Oscar winner. Unbelievable. You were a student, though, under Melissa, and you have become, you were the co-founder, right, of the PAD Project. Tell people that don't know what that is all about it.
Yeah, so under, Melissa's guidance, I came on to Girls International and learned about this issue and was so moved by it also that a large group of us really wanted to continue to pursue this issue and do what we could to raise awareness. And so we did a bunch of different like homegrown fundraising things, bake sales, like backyard yoga fundraisers, and ultimately launched a Kickstarter to raise money for a pad machine and a year's worth of supplies, and then whatever we could to make this documentary. And so it was like step by step, you know, lunch meetings, working to like make this happen. And so really the goal was to supply this machine.
What does the machine do exactly?
So yeah, it produces sanitary pads, biodegradable sanitary pads for very, very low cost. And the women in Kathikera manufacture the pads using the machine.
And make their
sell
own
them.
wages
Yeah.
doing it, so it's a little
So
micro.
they make money. There was a part of the documentary where one of the women said, I could actually buy my brother a suit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She felt
part.
like she
Yeah.
had earned it herself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's microeconomy,
And she
which
did
is
earn it.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's both, you know, providing pads in a place where, you know, they're stigmatized and there's not, you know, a huge amount of access, and then also allowing women to engage in the economy and make wages for themselves.
And Rika, installing the pad machine in the village, since installing it, you've kept in touch with the women in India. And what kind of changes have you observed? And are the men more accepting? Because that was another part of the film, because I saw the men also making the pads, which was
Right. They
fascinating
They didn't even know what
to
a
me.
period was.
No,
Yeah.
and initially the women actually told them that it was a Huggies machine, a machine that creates
To make
Huggies
diapers, yes.
And they were all fine with that. And then once I think the men started realizing that, hey, my daughter is working and she's making money and she's putting this towards her education, I think they began to really accept this machine. And I think maybe some of them all along may have known that it creates pads and not diapers. But since the machine was installed, the women are now making I think up to 250 pads a day and selling them.
Great
good.
work,
So
great
good.
work.
Amazing.
Well, our thanks to Rika, Melissa, and Claire. Period. End of Sentence is streaming on Netflix now. Please catch it. We'll be right back.